Today I'll be reviewing this book I recently finished. It's called The Korean War by Bruce Cumings. I'm currently in the process of reading a different book on the Korean War, but I just so happened to finish this other one first, and it was really interesting. Very different take on the Korean War than a number of contemporary books that I've seen or interacted with. And this book dives in depth into the prelude to North Korea's invasion that occurred in June 1950. It covers a lot of the tensions that were across the peninsula, especially between 1945 and 1950. I really like the way that this book shed light on how before 1950 the peninsula was already beset by tensions and immense conflict. And this book really dived in depth to a lot of components that often are overlooked. And they often chalk this war up as the forgotten war. But after reading and experiencing all the things in this book, I can't help but think that maybe a lot of people chose to forget it for a reason. There's a lot of crazy atrocities committed by both factions, North and South. The South's atrocities are much better documented, especially since South Korea went on to become a more transparent governing system, whereas its northern counterpart has never done so. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It was very sobering, but I do think that the title is misleading. Because going into the book, I was expecting it to just explain, oh yes, so this happened and that and this and so forth in more a chronological fashion. But this book really, in terms of a chronological timeline, it was a little all over the place. It was still, I could still follow the information, but it was definitely not typical of explaining how a conflict occurs. I think the book probably should have a different title. Maybe it could be called The Background on the Korean War, or Set Up to the Conflict. And in addition, a number of chapters covered the really important legacy that the war left behind. So I really feel like the title should be changed to The Lead Up and Legacy of the Korean War. That sounds more accurate of what was found within the book. The components about the lasting influence of that conflict were really interesting. Talking about the national security state and the buildup of the military-industrial complex that is still in our politics today. And again, I really think it's unfortunate that this war is still relevant to this very day. It hasn't technically ended. It's just on pause. And that's pretty concerning, to say the least. And this conflict played an immense role in U.S. foreign policy during the Cold War, and a legacy that lasts to this very day. And I found this book very much worth my time, and I am going to give it an A-. Well, that's what I got for today. Happy New Year, and more content will be coming soon.